So welcome to our presentation to PAF 5A9, Leadership in Public Organizations. At Thunderbird School of Global Management, the instructor is Professor Dr. Landry Signier. And our group is formed by Rosa Julia Placoelho, myself, Patricia Camara, and Mamadou Bemba. And we are very, very glad, to have been studying and searching about the fourth industrial revolution, and especially on how to create new policy making in UK related to e-scooters, a case in the UK. So I'd like to invite Patricia Camara to say some initial words for you, and we are going to start the presentation right now.
Thank you so much, Madam Rosa Julia. Thank you for inviting me in. I must confess that I'm very happy to be part of this great team. Thank you. I will now start from the summary. Summary. Topic 1, the e-scooters case study. Topic 2, SWOT analysis. Topic 3, SBAR analysis. And topic 4, pillars of agile governance and leadership.
The COVID-19 pandemic has put the spotlight on regulatory systems designed with the past in mind. Governments across the globe have been forced to rush through legislation to enable innovations that have long been held back to help firms and citizens to respond to the pandemic. In this assignment, we are going to apply what we have learned to design a more agile regulatory approach for first principles for innovation and public transparency based on the pillars of agile governance related to the fourth industrial revolution requirements.
Topic 1, case study, e-scooters. Use of e-scooters on public roads is currently banned in the United Kingdom. Signing 2020 with concerns about safety and nuisance riding high. Nonetheless, the devices are widely sold. Disruptive case analysis. Use of e-scooters on public roads in the United Kingdom. Micro-mobility devices. Public trial e-scooters. Engaged public officials. Company manufacturers. Civil society representatives. Innovation standards for the fourth industrial revolution, the new UK transport law.
So this is a very interesting case that shows us that we cannot, for example, use old ideas, old fashioned tech governance to face challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. So we can say, for example, that the COVID-19 pandemics that shed light to this kind of approach that needs a more rapidly, fast, and more in a partnership between governments and the society to provide answers, to the population. So with social distancing requirements, reducing public transport capacity, the UK government has announced that it will seek to enable the use of such micro-mobility devices in order to implement social policies that would be transparent, and create community value. The government has taken some measures, such as creating public trial scooter areas across the country and engaged public officials, company manufacturers, and civil society representatives. By using those measures, the government would come up with innovation standards to help solving that very debatable issue and probably reach to a consensus on how to implement the new transport law, especially concerning the use of e-scooters.
So, key questions and Methodological tools. How could the United Kingdom develop an agile regulatory approach to enable the safe introduction of e-scooters and other micro-mobility devices? What considerations should it take into account? Our group, to answer the two questions above, applies the analysis on the assigned case study as follows: a situation, background assessment, and recommendation. SBAR: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT. As a follow-up, the two methodological approaches will allow a thorough description of how to use the pillars of agile governance to root implementing agile leadership and technology governance effectively while enacting new policies and regulations. Situation and background. How could the UK develop an agile regulatory approach to enable the safe introduction of e-scooters and other micro-mobility devices? What considerations should it take into account? Applying new technology policy, making approach not based on old concepts and methodologies.
A short overview to introduce the topic. The Highways Act 1835 restricts the use of personal light electric vehicles, PLEV, to private land in the UK. And this law is still in force. If you bought one scooter yourself, you cannot use it unless you are on a private land.
So, assessment. E-scooters were prohibited in the United Kingdom for safety and nuisance reasons. With the COVID-19 pandemic, distancing is strongly recommended by health specialists to avoid the risk of contamination. Common transport becomes a risk and is not recommended. It is the race towards other mobility material, especially for populations without a personal car. The new mobility materials are therefore bicycles, e-scooters, and carts. How may the UK government develop an applied technology governance by engaging several stakeholders, such as legislators, manufacturers, and the general public?
Among these new mobility materials, e-scooters are the most coveted because they are fast and require less effort to drive them.
2. Recommendations. New model of transport regulation for the fourth industrial revolution. Minimum age limits. Driver's license obligation. Speed limit required. Punishable under influence. Recommended helmet usage. Insurance obligation.
Right. So to summarize, and in terms of offering some recommendations, we may say that electric scooters should only be used on roads or tracks and prohibited on sidewalks. The driver must be over 16 years old. The individual must hold a driver's license. Scooter's speed must be limited to 15.5 mph, same as for bikes, okay, on bike lanes. One cannot drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Wearing a helmet is not compulsory, although it's strongly recommended. Electric scooters must be insured.
Topic 3, SWOT analysis. Strength, internal and helpful. Weaknesses, internal and harmful. Threats, external and harmful. Opportunities, external and helpful.
Strengths and weaknesses. This is our SWOT, okay? Strengths, internal and helpful. The overall experience of enjoyable free riding to save time and money, to carry out users' jobs or for leisure purposes. Personal, sustainable, green, 100% electric power, transportation technology with minimal effort, rove over varying terrain with greater power and no negative environmental impact, revel in high speed and travel many miles without being charged with these vehicles, widely perceived to have environmental and convenience benefits. Now, what are the weaknesses, internal and harmful, that we can point out? High price. At the UK, a toy, as many people say, like this, cost over £1,000. Safety concerns for e-scooter riders, risk of accidents for careless behavior, and causing potential pedestrian danger. Improve design standards to make them more sturdy and meant for a professional traveling use. Now, opportunities and threats. Okay, continue the SWOT. Opportunities, external and helpful. High costs of cars and other forms of mobility. Increase in the price of petroleum products. Pandemic diseases that require social distance. You ride alone at a cheaper cost. Health benefits for seniors from low impact physical exercise to boost in mental and cognitive health. E-scooters are widely connected with manual toy scooters for children, a policy to change that non-user perception so they may seem as a credible and legitimate mode of transport for an adult, may be beneficial to implement a new policy and regulation in the UK. And finally, some threats, external and harmful, related to the use of e-scooters. Cable cars and automobiles on the road, many accidents because of that, okay? Frequent accidents on cycle lanes and footpaths with pedestrians. Concerns on irresponsible riding and insufficient infrastructure available for safe use. High rates of theft, high price. Now, let's move on, okay, and get to the pillars. How can we apply the SBAR and the SWOT that we just did, okay, presented and discussed? And how can we kind of accommodate that and find common grounds to the pillars of agile governance and leadership? The source for that is Agile Government Center, April 2020. The UK Department for Transport has been highly committed in designing new technology strategy in March 2019, in which it committed to becoming a world leader in shaping the future of mobility. In light of this, micromobility, transport provided by very light vehicles, has been identified as an area in which regulation is currently acting as a barrier to the potential benefits of new technologies. How to change that scenario toward a more transparent, effective, and social value created approach to policy governance? We can say that the UK government must engage public-private partnership by adopting new agile experiments, such as policy laboratories, help governments design individual policies to solve new and unanswered problems. Sandboxes provide an environment to run the applications in the test phase safely. Technological innovation provides governments with tools that can increase their political agility, provide increased security and transparency. Government innovation can promote change in governance. Support must be created to guide stakeholders during their creation. development of participatory policies. This method of policymaking increases the adoption of principles of agile governance, accountability, and transparency. It is centric and results oriented. Collaboration between regulators and innovators. Regulators and innovators can work together to identify these barriers and change or remove them. Public-private data sharing promotes the creation of public value between companies and the government.
Topic 4, 7 pillars of agile governance, signing and ANMO 2021. Anticipate innovation and its implications. Focus on regulation and outcomes. Create space to experiment. Use data to target interventions. Leverage the role of business. Work across institutional boundaries and collaborate internationally.
So from now on, we are going to explain, or you're going to try to apply the 7 pillars of agile governance, okay, based on our understanding of the fourth industrial revolution, okay, and how those pillars can help the UK to implement a new transport, as they call in British English, okay, transport law. So the UK government should consider the role of e-scooters as a pioneering and valuable technology and adopt rounds of discussions, the famous policy labs, with manufacturing companies, safety transit experts, and communities to find beneficial solutions to disruptive new situations. E-scooters are currently graded as power transporters and fall under the same laws and regulations applied to all motor vehicles. Halfords Online. Those policy labs, okay, some words about those policy labs, would help its decision-making on addressing potential safety issues and fully embracing that easy, intuitive, and green traffic solution safer and make it more affordable to the public.
4.2, focus regulation on outcomes. Technological innovation provides government with tools that can increase their political agility and provide increased security and transparency. By adopting co-decision designing, the United Kingdom government may enact rigorous safety regulations to minimize risk for pedestrians, riders, and vehicles. Among such policies, e-scooters may be banned from pavements and limited to a speed restriction, so they would travel at speed closer to that of bicycles in bike lanes. That is a need for legal change, since British citizens have been brought to court and were convicted under the Highway Act 1835 of riding their e-scooter on the footway, or of driving or leading a carriage on the footway. 2 legal cases rulings. By analogy to other forms of carriage like bicycle, or because it was a motor vehicle, which by statute is a carriage, EWHC July 29, 2011, the High Court applied the same type of arguments reasoning in DPP Y Saddington case to declare that Mr. Saddington was required by law to have a driving license, and that party insurance when using an e-scooter on the road, EWHC 2000.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Those 2 cases, they really announce, okay, how the higher courts in London, okay, are judging cases related to riders, e-scooter riders that were apprehended without helmets or having driver's license and so on, okay? So collaboration between regulators and innovators, they can work together to identify barriers and risks and change or remove them. It is a trend to fill the existing tech gap. The agile regulatory approach will allow the government and private sector collaboration. The transport bill will encompass legislation that will be introduced to modernize rail services and improve reliability for passengers. And this was said by the Queen, okay, on her speech last May. Exactly. Okay, so the Queen's speech 2022.
4.3, create space to experiment. Policymakers who participate in tech innovation are more equipped to design its evolution and learn to what extent their old regulatory planning fits the new demands. Signed 2022. After in-depth deliberation, the government will determine which vehicles will make the cut, and in the words of Baroness Varian, Under Secretary of State in the Department of Transport, we hope that e-scooters will be the first. The UK 2022.
In the UK, the government has been running trials of rented e-scooters in certain areas since the summer of 2020. In those controlled environments, the maximum speed for an e-scooter is 15.5 miles per hour. These pilot programs could pave the way for a version of the UK in the UK law in which e-scooters are generally legal for use on roads, cycle lanes, carefully regulated to promote safely and socially accepted as a sustainable mean of transport. Okay, so this is in the project of the UK law 2022.
4.4, use data to target interventions. Technological innovation provides government with tools that can increase their political agility and provide increased security and transparency to address political and economic conflicts and fast-changing settings, with society transforming in ways that challenge existing views about the world and how it's governed. Technology is disrupting the status quo and creating a future for uncertainties. OECD 2018.
We know that we live in a very high pace, okay, times for transformation. And what we thought, okay, that we knew it by heart, these recipes are not meant to solve today's problems, okay, especially concerning the regulations, okay, and how those regulations, they normally they put a lot of stress and barriers to really high tech innovation and development. So by adopting co-decision design, the UK government may have an assessment to critic data to enact safely regulations to minimize risk for riders, pedestrians, and vehicles. Among such policies, e-scooters may be banned from pavements and limited to a speed restriction, so they would travel at a speed to that of a bicycle in bike lanes.
4.6, work across institutional boundaries. Development of participatory policy decision-making increases the adoption of agile governance, accountability, and transparency. It is a a citizen-centric and results-oriented approach, allowing. By sharing decisions, the government may increase public awareness of the e-scooter for avoiding traffic jams and providing a more accessible mode of transport in both hectic urban and rural areas in the United Kingdom. Department of Transport Report 2020.
Direct representation in government fosters innovation and accelerates positive change with more effective control of rapidly changing technology. It provides a range of flexibility to solve various problems in different areas. This said, we can say that, for example, it's very hard, okay, to think of yourself, even a government, to be the most powerful entity to solve problems by itself without consulting, without engaging with other stakeholders in the society. And the more we have this participatory, okay, process, we are going to have better products or better social policies devoted to the citizens.
4.7. Collaborate internationally. The United Kingdom government must realize the potential for thriving, prosperous new industry, which puts them at the forefront of decarbonized, localized travel. The United Kingdom may become an anchor of world innovation in that technology sector and visionary global leadership in adopting co-decision making. That chance of approach will be flexible and tailored to address a specific problem across a broader spectrum and positively impact the service communities. Integrating public and private partnership would result in a better UK fleet transport law change. Those changes include e-scooters to the category of electric transport vehicles, encompassing all low-speed, zero-emission vehicles, a separate category to all bicycles and motor machines, the UK 2022. Additionally, the e-scooters technology fosters sustainable improvement, transport across the United Kingdom that will deliver safer, cleaner services and enable more innovations, the UK 2020.
So as we could show, those decisions, okay, represent a great opportunity, okay, domestically speaking. So countries, they may work with their taking care of their culture, their needs, and so on, internationally, domestically, but they can also have a chance to collaborate, okay, over the borders, okay, across the borders. So this is what we mean here, that innovators are embracing systems, approaches to tackle complex problems, okay, not just with a localized vision, but with a world, global need vision, okay, and very centric to the human beings, to tackle complex problems while also transcending administrative boundaries. Countries are getting better at problem diagnostics to initiate systems change. Systems approaches involve trade-offs which must be evaluated. Systems innovators are looking for scale from incremental to radical. Innovators use systems approaches to transform the public sector itself. OECD 2018. So this is our presentation. Here comes the references. We have 3 slides devoted to the presentation and to the references. So we did a very thorough search, okay, or research, okay, to really apply, okay, those very challenging principles of the 4th Industrial Revolution to really try to do an applied solution to real problems, okay? We are not thinking about problems from people that are in Mars or Venus, okay? We are thinking about problems that people right here, okay, in our neighborhoods, across the countries, they face every day. And we can, for example, sympathize with the good and effective answers and to solve the problems that peoples and countries, okay, manufacturers face every day. So thank you for your attention. And I'd like to thank again Patricia for her big help, Mama Dubenda.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for partnering with me, Rosa Julia. Thank you. Bye-bye.